Simon thought he had everything until he met Sonia. At first, she seemed like just another guest at his father's anniversary celebration, but soon Simon realized she was his father's mistress. A woman his mother feared, a woman Simon couldn't resist. As secrets unraveled and desires became impossible to ignore, Simon found himself entangled in a forbidden affair. The real question was, had he betrayed his father, or was he simply taking his place? Simon and his girlfriend Fabienne were motion designers preparing for an upcoming animation festival. One evening, Simon decided to introduce her to his family during his father Carl's anniversary celebration. It was the perfect occasion to bring Fabian into his world. At the gathering, Simon noticed a new face among the guests, Sonia. Something about her presence felt strange, especially when his mother, Agnes, tensed up at the sight of her. Throughout dinner, Simon observed Sonia closely. She seemed too comfortable around his father. When Fabian stepped away for a moment, Simon saw his mother hastily close the door, hiding Carl inside a room with Sonia. Later that night, he asked his mother about Sonia, and she simply said she was Carl's secretary. But Simon knew there was more to the story. When he finally confronted Carl's colleague, he was told that Carl had helped Sonia through personal difficulties. What kind of difficulties? No one was willing to say. As Carl and Agnes planned a vacation, Simon temporarily took over his father's duties at the clinic. That's when he started working closely with Sonia. At first, their interactions were professional, but Simon sensed tension beneath the surface. Sonia, however, denied any inappropriate relationship with Carl. One evening, he overheard Sonia on the phone, frustrated and demanding that someone stop wasting her time. It became clear she wanted to settle down and have children. But with whom? Simon couldn't let go of his doubts, and when he finally confronted Sonia directly, emotions ran high. In a moment of weakness, she kissed him. Stunned, Simon pulled away, remembering Fabian. But that kiss haunted him. The next day, he tried to apologize, but Sonia acted as if nothing had happened. The situation grew more complicated, and Simon was torn between guilt, desire, and suspicion. Determined to uncover the truth, Simon sneaked into his father's office and found Sonia's file. Before he could read it, a courier arrived with flowers for Sonia. The attached note expressed gratitude, love, and patience from Carl. Furious, Simon threw the bouquet away. His anger intensified when he saw Fabian at a cafe with another man, deep in conversation about the festival. He felt like he was losing control over everything: his relationship, his career, and his family. That same night, Simon went to Sonia's office seeking answers. She seemed almost amused by his frustration. As tensions flared, she stepped closer and kissed him once again. But this time, Simon didn't resist. Overcome with desire, they gave in to the attraction between them, sharing an intimate moment right there in the office. The next day, Sonia acted as if nothing had happened, but Simon knew there was no turning back. As days passed, Sonia and Simon's interactions became more intense. One evening, she invited him to a secluded house outside the city. There, they spent the night together, giving in to the unspoken attraction that had been building for so long. Their affair continued in secret while Carl remained unaware, or so Simon thought. One night, Simon woke up in Sonia's apartment to find a note. She had gone grocery shopping. Suddenly, Carl walked in. Seeing Simon there, everything became clear. Carl had known all along. He revealed that Sonia wanted a child, but he couldn't give her one. Sonia returned, ignoring Carl completely, and kissed Simon in front of him. At that moment, Carl was the outsider, while Simon had taken his place. After that night, Simon's world fell apart. He drank to numb the guilt, but it was his mother's distressed call that sobered him up. Carl had finally confessed his affair to Agnes, and she was devastated. When Simon arrived at his parents' house, he found his mother broken, blaming herself for everything. Yet, despite the pain, she accepted Simon's choices. Fabian, however, did not. When Simon tried to reconcile, she rejected him. Overwhelmed, he tore up his sketches and collapsed from exhaustion. A friend found him unconscious and rushed him to the hospital. When he woke up, Carl was there with unexpected news. Sonia was pregnant. Months later, Carl held a book presentation and Sonia, now heavily pregnant, attended alongside Agnes. Simon watched as his father publicly acknowledged both his wife and Sonia. Later, Sonia held the baby in her arms before handing him to Carl, but then Agnes turned to Simon and placed the child in his arms. A guest nearby whispered, "He looks just like Simon," and with that, the movie ends, leaving one question for the audience: is the child Carl's or Simon's?